Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today's guest is Avdi Dhruv, and she is an international best-selling author, a YouTuber, and a business guru. Her website and brand, Avdi, and also, I should say, author of, we're going to be talking a little bit about her book as well today, The Family Business Guru, which is part of her overall The Business Guru series. Avdi, first off, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Such a pleasure to be here.
All right. We got a lot to talk about today, so I definitely want to get into the overall topic, making business decisions in business and life and kind of your approach to doing that. And I guess just to get us started, how did you get started in this business? Like as becoming an author, a business guru, a YouTuber, like where did all that start for you?
Right. Yeah, I was basically pulled into it. I was called into it, I would say. I never planned on any of this. I went to school for engineering. I went to Georgia Tech and got my undergrad in industrial and systems engineering with a specialization in supply chain management, and went into the corporate world and got a good, well-paying job and all the, regular things that society told me to do. And just because I came from a family that has owned businesses for several decades, and my grandfather being a serial entrepreneur, my father being a business owner for all his life, and coming from that background in India where business was, like they said, was in my blood, that I just could not contain myself in a cubicle for longer than a few years. And so from my corporate career, I one day just wrote my resignation letter and thanked my boss. And almost out of nowhere, I felt like I was called to be an entrepreneur, and I made the shift, and that began my entrepreneurial journey. So that to today has been a whole journey that I talk about. I tell the whole story in my books. My first book, Inner Genius Outer Guru, has the full story, and then right after I resigned from my corporate career, and then my second book, The Family Business Guru, goes into how I got called into my family's business empire and how we've built a long-lasting legacy for that to continue on for many more generations to come. So, yeah, lots has happened, but I was definitely called into this role that I'm playing now in terms of leadership.
What was it like? I want to stay in the early days a little bit longer here. What was it like when you finally made that jump and you're like, okay, I'm doing it? Like, do you remember what that was like?
Yes, it was scary.
So scary, right?
It was terrifying, and it was exhilarating at the same time. I had been, I would say, financially responsible and educated as I could be at the time. Like I had saved up enough to carry me on for a few months or a couple years, and I thought I will build something of my own by that time. Of course, I definitely underestimated the amount of time, energy, and effort it actually takes for an entrepreneurial venture to really take off and be sustainable enough to sustain me and my lifestyle as well as the business itself. And so there is that whole story of fear of running out of my savings in my first book, and just all of the burnout I faced and all of the trouble that I faced, and I learned through and grew through it. But it was scary to take that leap, even with the safety net, the quote-unquote safety net that I thought I had built for myself at the time. And my family has been so supportive in my journey to help me get.
What do you think kind of kept you motivated and kept you going forward? Let's just say when the times got hard, when things weren't necessarily happening as fast as you wanted them to or otherwise. What kept you going?
It was my heart and soul that I couldn't go back to where I came from. I was in the middle of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, and I wasn't a caterpillar anymore, and I hadn't turned into a butterfly yet. And so I couldn't go back where
Yeah.
it was, but I didn't know what the future entailed. So yeah, that was the scariest part.
Yeah.
But something in me, my inner voice, and I've been very spiritually inclined. And so being in my spiritual quest as well and doing my work, my inner work and spiritual growth work in that time is what kept me more and more rooted in myself and discovering my true and authentic self, my inner genius, as I call it, just staying in that the self-discovery process and that spiritual growth journey definitely kept me going until I finally emerged on the butterfly end of the funnel.
Let's get into this series because I'm curious about it. So you're having these experiences, you're documenting them, you're putting what you learn along with your business sense in there. Like, what inspired the Business Guru series?
Yeah, well, I published my first book, Inner Genius Outer Guru, 2 years ago. And as soon as that book was published and released, it was almost like the seed for the second book was planted in me. I started the process of creating the experiences that were going to lead to the second book. And as this year, the end of last year rolled around, I started to feel like, okay, it's time for it to come out into the world and be birthed in this year, 2024. So it turned into this process that the best way it could be released out into the world is as a series. The series is called the Business Guru series because it's a very unique blend of the business, like in traditional sense of the word, the business strategy and how to think of it and how to persevere through the journey of building a business around your passion with family harmony, all of that. So there's no need to sacrifice one area of life for another. And at the same time, how that is possible through being rooted in spirituality and the family values and culture and tradition in the most, I would say, modern sense, most applicable sense in the modern world. How that all comes together is what the Business Guru series is about, and it just made sense as it all came together when I released my second book, and that's where it all comes together. And I guess because of the series now, there's probably more books coming up in the series.
Amazing. This most recent one, let's talk about that for a moment, the Family Business Guru. So what do you hope the readers get out of that book?
The number one thing I would say is the hope that having harmonious, loving family relationships and creating a lasting family legacy through a business that is aligned with the family's values and is profitable and successful in all the possible ways that one could imagine is possible, and not only possible, it is very much practically executable. And my book goes into the step-by-steps of all aspects and facets of that. And I know that's a big claim to make for someone who may have struggled with family relationships or with business when family dynamics are involved. But my family, business, and the clients I've worked with are all testament to that claim. And my book, The Family Business Guru, lays out the entire roadmap for it.
Yeah, I think one of the things the myths that I would argue your book is dispelling is that idea that you have to kind of run from the family business or you can't work out or like all these other things. But you're using your own self in your own case studies to show like, hey, it can be a good thing. Am I off on this?
Absolutely. You got it right. Yes, that is the myth that we're dispelling here. And not only that, I'm also claiming that the future belongs to businesses that operate based on strong values that families often are built on, and family unity, harmony, and courage. I love the saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. And And families are units that are already built to go together, and therefore they go far, and they're built to go far. So building a legacy through a family business is absolutely the future that I see, versus all of us kind of breaking out into our individual careers. And nothing wrong with that. I did that. Absolutely. It's personal choice. But if someone is being called to build a legacy for their family, for in a business, in the world, and contribute to the world that way, it's absolutely possible, and it's definitely an important part of the future that humanity needs to have.
So why do you think sometimes it doesn't work out when the next generation or try to carry on the footsteps? And I know this is going to be different for every business, right? But thematically, why do you think sometimes it doesn't work so well?
Yeah, it doesn't work when one generation is closed off to change and taking on new ideas that another generation is ready to and able to bring. And also it doesn't work out when a newer generation isn't willing to accept and cherish the values and the foundation and the basic core foundation that's been built by the previous generation, and the culture and tradition that has held it up for so long, and to take that with as they bring in new ideas and bring in the change that is needed. It's a respect mutually that's required from each generation to the other. And when there is that mutual respect and almost trust and cherishing what each generation brings mutually, and then creating harmony around that is what's needed. And oftentimes I find that it's what's missing when there's disharmony and discord and it doesn't work out or isn't working out. So that is
it makes so much sense. If the communications breaks down, ultimately, it can't move forward. For sure. It makes so much sense on both sides, right? I like that you attack the angle from both sides, right? The next generation and the previous generation. So both of them, there's some give and take and some understanding that has to go to move something forward, because it still takes both of them, right?
Yes. It's mutual trust, mutual respect, and mutual understanding that creates that harmonious communication. Absolutely, like you said, that's required.
I know that your platform overall, it takes the angle of there's also a spirituality component to it. How does that take place? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. The unique aspect I find that I bring, that is necessary, that I feel to bring, is actually blending business and spirituality. And the reason for that is because my brand's vision for the world is to create a world of abundance and fulfillment. Now, traditional sense of business, it's all about, making profits and making money, and that's important, and that's the abundance part of it. But I have seen people who've made a lot of money and have built these so-called successful businesses, or even careers, but then there's this something missing. There's this emptiness within. There's not that fulfillment. There's this constant lack of satisfaction and the sense of fulfillment that the next big achievement is just not going to bring that in. That's where the spirituality and that angle comes in to the picture. That's where I bring that in, because that happiness and the joy and the bliss that they're looking for, the business leader is looking for, it really comes from within. It comes from connecting with your true self and that magnificence within, and finding that success and that sense of fulfillment from within. And that's where that spirituality angle is really, really critical for all my clients I've found. That really brings it all home and contributes to fulfilling relationships, success overall at the end of the day, and that long-lasting legacy that I always talk about. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, Avdi, I know we are just getting going here, and we're about out of time for this particular episode, but I know that within the books, your teaching, the platform overall, there's so much more that you have to offer the audience. If somebody wants to connect, read your books, plug into your network overall, and follow your journey, how do they do that?
Yeah, if they Google my name, Avdi Dhruv, they'll find my website, avdi.guru. And my website has links to my books. They can get copies of my books from there. They can find my YouTube channel. I have lots more content where I go deep into everything we talked about today. So they can find me on my YouTube channel. That's also at avdi.guru. And I'm on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So they could find me on those channels as well. There's lots of ways to connect, and I'd love to have people come over to my network so we can together build a long-lasting, harmonious legacy for humanity.
Perfect. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll put the links to the website and all that good stuff in the show notes so that you can just click on the link and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't hit the subscribe or follow button yet, we welcome you to do so. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're providing you new content, new ideas, new interviews, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Avdi, again, thank you so much for coming on the show and appreciate it. And congrats on the new book. And I know we're just meeting each other, but I have a feeling there's some more in the series coming up. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure to be here.